Hello and welcome to what is most probably one of our very last EV reviews for a long time. And with us we have the Volvo XC40 P8 Recharge. It's the first electric model from Volvo to be introduced locally up until the entire range goes electric. This one is very special because it is very much affordable and the range is amazing too. As always, we start off with the looks of the car, then I give you a little more technical detail about the vehicle itself, then we look at driving impressions and then close it off with my final say. Let's have a look. So let's start off with the technicalities on this XC40 P8 Recharge. What you have here is 660 Newton meters of torque. What that means is that there are two motors in this car, one in the front and another in the rear axle. The torque is split individually on each motor, and that gives it the same power on each of the motors essentially, which makes it an all-wheel drive vehicle, which means it's smoother on the road and power is just distributed evenly. Elsewhere, the Volvo XC40 P8 Recharge has a range of 420 kilometers, which means you can pretty much do all your favorite things that you enjoy doing with a normal car in this electric vehicle. To charge it from 0 to about 80% will take you about an hour and a half, even less if you're using a super fast charger that you can find around the country. And that's the technicalities about this vehicle and what makes it super cool. Another thing is the speed in this car. It's an electric motor, so 0 to 100 comes in at about 4.9 seconds in this vehicle. That's how special it is for a tiny Volvo SUV vehicle, I might add, which is super cool, I think. Now, when it comes to styling, if you've seen any of the diesel or petrol-powered XC40s on the road, this model is exactly the same. The only difference here, of course, is that this is not an internal combustion vehicle, like I mentioned earlier, but EV inside. Differences are, you'll find here by the front grille, there are no openings or air intakes at all, but rather what they've chosen to do is put in this screen over here in front because you don't need that air coming in at all. I guess also it also differentiates the vehicle between this and the electric or diesel powered ones that you'll find on the road. It's quite striking when you're looking at it from the front. And then you still have those Thor hammer headlights in front, which Volvo is known for or distinguished for in the line. And then the rest of the vehicle is pretty much still XC40 that we all know from a couple of years ago. And that's actually that when it comes to styling of the vehicle, looking at it from outside. It's quite a good looking vehicle, I might add. I think the styling will still, be around for a few more years to come before actually Volvo changes it up and brings in a refresh of this model. It still has about 4 years to go in its life cycle, and I can't wait to see what it'll look like in the new iteration. I think let's have a look inside of the vehicle and then I'll touch base on that and the features that Volvo has included in this vehicle. And now it's finally time for us to get inside and behind the wheel of the XC40 P8 Recharge. Before I forget though, it's worth mentioning that the infotainment in this car is super cool. It's actually powered by some Google processing, which means that all of the displays and everything that you see do actually make use of some Google processing to show you everything and make sure that it works perfectly. So even if you're syncing it with your Android device, it syncs seamlessly, and it all powers the vehicle to make sure it's showing you all the information that you need. You can connect your Gmail account to pull up any contacts, locations, anything of that sort that you might have saved there. And it has Google Play Store, Android Play Store as well, which means that you can download your favorite apps, regardless of whether they support this system or your mobile. You can find them in this car. That's one thing worth mentioning. But once you sit inside, you're greeted by that lovely Volvo steering wheel, which you've seen for a while now from the XC90 range up until here in the 40s as well. And then you're greeted by that super bright screen and then the display in front of you as well. That they've grown it a bit to make accommodation for that Google services that it's making use of. It also shows you some information related to your charging, the range in your car, as well as anything else that might be useful to you as a driver. And elsewhere, Volvo has fitted in this premium Harman-Kardon sound system in the XC40 P8 Recharge, as well as some recycled and sustainably sourced materials, such as here on the detailing by the door and some over here next to the door lever. In this specific model that we're testing out, there's leather on the seats, but if you want, you can swap that out for more sustainably sourced materials as well. Also some recycled ones from the options list. I think it's time that we take this car on the road and I share my driving impressions with you. The guy behind the camera said it's quite an enjoyable ride, so let's see. I must tell you, this most probably has to be one of the most comfortable and smoothest EV rides that I've had, after the BMW iX, of course. That one's the top of my list. But talking about the Volvo XC40 P8 Recharge, the car handles very smoothly, and if you're used to or if you've driven a Volvo of recent years, let's say take it back to about 6 years ago, you get the same ride quality in this car as well, even similar to that of its ICE counterparts. Look, if you're one for long, rides, whether you're going away or you prefer just to stay on the road, you definitely won't feel tired after driving even for 2 or more than 2 hours on the road. And then driving in the city as well, the car comes through and comes alive, especially with the regenerative stuff that's happening with the motor. It all just makes sense in this vehicle as a daily as well as an everyday car. Actually, this could be the only car in your garage, and you'll be perfectly fine with it. When it comes to range as well, earlier I mentioned that it gives you 420 kilometers of range. It all comes through in this car, and I bet you'll be charging it at least maybe once or twice, let's say maximum a week, to make sure that you fully enjoy this vehicle. But it could last you for a full week on one single charge if you're one that doesn't travel far and wide. Even on those long trips, I think this car will be adequate. Just make sure that you look into where your charging points are, if they're working or not, etc., to prepare for your trips. But I think that this would be the perfect counterpart for your long road trips. And I think I've pretty much touched on everything that this car encompasses, and detailing on the ride quality as well in this vehicle. It's very smooth. It's something that you would expect and would want to experience in a Volvo car. It comes through definitely in this XC40 P8 Recharge. One thing I haven't done though is take this car off-road, but given that it is a compact SUV, I have no doubt that it'll perform perfectly, or it'll be a smooth ride as well on gravel. But just don't take it on those harsh 4x4 trails that you would, with your bigger cars. But this should do perfectly fine with a little bit of off-roading that you might encounter on the road. And that essentially is my driving impressions of this XC40 and my time with it. I am curious to know what you think of this car, see my review, and whether you've driven it or you've experienced it. Please do let us know in the comments below. And I would appreciate it if you were to share it with your family and friends wide, and make sure that you subscribe to the 24 channel to stay in the know with the latest videos that we release on this channel. I think that's that for myself and Harmonix behind the camera. Have yourself a good one, and we'll see you soon.